My name's Sterling Morris. I'm here with PoliticIt.com. We're here in Salt Lake City, Utah with two-term governor of New Mexico, Gary Johnson. Gary, thanks for being with us today.
Sterling, thank you for having me on here today.
Well, thank you. Today, we looked at your Wikipedia article, and we noticed that you're known for your multiple marathons and triathlons you participate in, and also for being a libertarian-leaning candidate. What's your definition of libertarianism, and what's your resting heart rate at?
So resting heart rate would be in the 50s, and I would like to think that I'm not libertarian-leaning, that as the presidential nominee from the Libertarian Party, that I am libertarian. And libertarian with a broad brush stroke. The notion that most people in this country are socially accepting and fiscally responsible. I'm in that category, and I think with a broad brushstroke, that's libertarians. Libertarians care about civil liberties. Libertarians care about a balanced budget.
Excellent. We noticed that when you began your presidential campaign, you ran as a Republican up until December of last year, and then you switched over to the Libertarian Party, where you've continued to run quite successfully. Do you feel like that switch has helped your campaign success and your ability to fundraise, or has it hindered it?
Well, regardless, it's a message about freedom and liberty, and so the message gets to continue. I think that the message that I'm talking about is the same one that Ron Paul's been talking about, but Ron Paul's candidacy, by his own admission, is going to come to an end. So where does this message grow? I think I am a spokesperson right now for the fastest growing segment of American politics today. The notion of libertarian, whether that's Democrat/libertarian, Republican/libertarian, I'm trying to make the pitch here that all of us are libertarian, and all of us don't vote libertarian. But I'm asking just this one time for everybody to actually vote libertarian, just one time. Give me a chance, and you know what? We can always go back to the way it was.
Excellent. We have a question from one of our Twitter followers. He mentioned, and it's Andrew Bernard, he said, despite ex-Governor John Huntsman's endorsement of Mitt Romney, Huntsman has recently expressed the U.S.'s need for a viable third-party candidate. What are your thoughts on this, and has Mr. Huntsman shown support for your campaign?
Well, as a good friend, having met him and interacted with him on the campaign trail, I think he's a terrific guy, and I think he hits the right note. I mean, the right note is that we do need to have more choices. I'm going to argue that I'm the only choice. And to do that, everybody needs to check it out. So, GaryJohnson2012.com, just check it out.
You heard it from him. So tell us how you're using social media in your campaign.
Well, we're trying to interact. We're trying to engage all media in this campaign. I think what's really important to point out is we're doing this on a fraction of a penny relative to these other two guys and the dollars that they're raising. So yes, social media is very important. YouTube, Facebook, free media, if you will. But it involves people that are engaged in these, that do interact with social media. And anyway, I'd like to think that we're doing it very, very effectively relative to, again, this fraction of a penny that we're spending.
You know, that's something that we noticed at PoliticIt. We crunched some numbers on your performance in the digital world. And when we looked at the relative amount of registered libertarian voters, and we compared that to the relative amount of Republican and Democratic registered voters, you're actually number one in the nation for number of Facebook followers, number of individuals talking about you on Facebook.
I like it. Oh, thank you for doing that. I did not know that, but I would have thought it. I would have thought that.
And the other thing that's very surprising, one of the key indicators we like to look at PoliticIt is how many times your Wikipedia article gets hit. And so over the last 90 days, you're also number one in the nation for on Wikipedia article hits. So it shows that you're creating a lot of buzz.
You've made my day here. You've made my day. Wow.
You've been creating a lot of buzz. Why is that? What is it about you and your campaign that has created this buzz?
You know, I just think people are absolutely hungry for a third choice. And again, I'm making the pitch that it isn't a third choice, that it's the only that it's the only choice. And I think when people look at the resume, I think there's a recognition there that there is real substance, that I'm not just talking about this stuff, that you could expect me to doggedly pursue the agenda that I'm talking about.
So do you subscribe to the Keynesian or Austrian principles of economic execution and economic politics?
Given the choice, Austrian all the way.
Okay.
My quick Keynesian story. If it's about jobs, instead of digging trenches with heavy equipment or a backhoe, you dig with shovels. But why even use shovels if you're a Keynesian? Why not use spoons if it's really about jobs?
Now, you're not the only governor or ex-governor who's running as a president in this election. How does your record as governor of New Mexico compare with that of Mitt Romney's, and how does it distinguish you from Mitt Romney?
Well, first of all, I have more governmental executive experience than the other two candidates combined. Mitt Romney was a one-term governor. I was a two-term governor. And I got to tell you, when people hear that you have more executive governmental experience than the other guys, I think initially there is an eyeball roll at that, because who cares? That's the last thing we need, are those that have governmental experience. But in my case, Sterling, I may have vetoed more legislation than the other 49 governors in the country combined when I was governor of New Mexico. So mine was always about saying no to government. Intrusion when it comes to civil liberties, spending, that's my record. And so when people say, gee, we need Congress and we need the president to get along, that is just code for spending more money. That's the last thing that we need to do right now. We need to be concerned with civil liberties, restoring our civil liberties. We need to be concerned with balancing the federal budget, because if we don't do it, we're going to find ourselves in the midst of a monetary collapse. What's a monetary collapse? Very simply, the dollars that we have aren't going to buy a thing because of the ensuing inflation that goes along with borrowing and printing money to the tune of 43 cents out of every dollar we're spending.
Now, libertarians are traditionally fiscally conservative, socially liberal in their viewpoints with America's top problems that we're facing today. We have a lot of independent voters out there, many of whom are more conservative or liberal. What group among the independents are you attracting most in your campaign?
All the independents. I was going to say that independents is the largest group or largest political affiliation now in the United States. And why is that? Well, there's just a disillusionment with Republicans and Democrats. And I think for the most part, independents are fiscally responsible and socially accepting.
Well, we appreciate your time. Thanks for being with us today, Governor.
You've made my day, Sterling. Thank you for your time.